So after you read the title of this video, I want to say one thing really quick. I know that there are people who watch this channel who do believe in that theory, and I want to say that you can still watch this channel even if you do believe in that theory. I don't believe in it, but I also watch a lot of people who do believe in it. There are YouTubers I watch who believe in the theory, and I still watch them. And I disagree with that theory that they believe in, but there's other stuff that they talk about and things that they believe in that I do agree with. You're never going to find the perfect YouTuber who believes in all these things. And if you do find that, the only reason you found them is just because they haven't talked about fully what they do believe in. I've found that to be the case with every single person I follow. I don't agree with them all on anything. There isn't anything I agree 100% on. Honestly, with anybody, there's always little things I'm differing on. So even though you may not agree with me in this theory, hey, you can still listen to the rest of the stuff. That's okay. But so here's what I want to say regarding that subject. I have been prompted to make this video specifically now because I've made variations of this video in the past. It just never fit, never seemed right. I'm prompted to try this new variation now, which hopefully sounds good enough to put out, because I've been looking through YouTube and various things, and I'm seeing that these Q people and the big, huge channels, like hundreds of thousands of people, millions in some cases, who are promoting this Q stuff, are still around, and they're still pumping out videos with the same titles, and they're still getting viewers. So I want to make this video to enlighten my subscribers, and anyone else who may see this, as to why there are far better things to focus your time on, and why if you focus your time on Q in the end, it's going to be wasted. Here's why. Q, in my belief, does not exist. It's something other than just a person who was high level posting about stuff and revealing secrets. In my opinion, it's either a crazy person who wants to have some fun, or has something mentally wrong, or it's a government agency. Personally, I think it's a government agency, or what started out as one person is now a government agency. And here's why. The American government currently is in massive damage control mode. They know that if the people truly figure out what's going on, things are going to get crazy because they're not going to be happy when they learn about everything the government's doing. So they've got to silence that. But more importantly, they have to prevent the American people from actually doing anything. They have to maybe get them mad, but they have to turn their rage towards another way. So let's go over what Q does and what the whole point of it right now. Main phrases of the theory is trust the plan, the storm is coming, someone's coming to save us. These powers are the white hats, I don't know. They're in power. That's their main theory. Given that, people who believe in Q understand that there are deep problems with the government and know it needs to be solved, which all the way up to that point is 100% true. They're right. But then they're trusting the plan. They're waiting for somebody else to do the work. You won't see these Q people going out and taking any of these matters into their own hands. They are waiting for whoever's in power to make their move, for these secret operatives to come in and take over. Which, for years, remember, Q's been a thing for years and years and years. Q did not just become a thing with this last event that happened in November that you all know about. Q was a thing long before then. Long before then. And so, they're trusting that there's secret operatives who are going to come in, or that our previous president is in power somehow, and that he's running the show, and that the storm is coming, and that we should just trust the plan. Does that not seem like the perfect government operation to you? They have gotten to you to take all of your rage against them and stow it aside because you're waiting for someone to come. Now let me ask you this. The biggest and most important event in our nation's history, truly I think, well, at least recent history, went down about 9 months ago or so, in the month of November. And you know what that was. And another event happened in January. Both were very important. These secret Q operatives, Did any of them come out and reveal themselves? Did any of them do anything of meaning? And I know that there will be rumors spread around of what they did and did not do. Have you seen the effects of any of what they did? There were apparently Q people waving stuff at the Capitol on that day. But later we found out they all turned out to be FBI informants or paid crisis actors. None of those people who truly were a part of the action were doing it because of Q. They were doing it because they were being paid to be there and say those things. These followers of the movement have not actually done anything, and on the November date, they were not able to stop what was happening. In fact, they didn't even know that was happening or able to predict it. I follow this Q stuff because I want to be able to know what the other side is or what this operation could be. It's very interesting. What you'll notice when you look into this stuff is that these theories on what's truly happening comes out days after the event occurs. For instance, when another part of the Q stuff is that Miami tower, remember the apartments in Miami that fell down? They believe that there was something off with these apartments, that they host high-level officials, that there were documents in them related to certain events, all that kind of stuff. And you'll realize when you look into it, and I looked at the date specifically because when that came out, I had already known and had formulated this own theory in my head, and I knew that this was the case. So I was waiting for this to happen and watching, and it did happen. 1 to 2 days after the event happened, your big players started talking about that it was a little fishy and it's probably something related to Q. They waited till after the event to come up with these theories. The instant it happened, they didn't come out with it, which leads me to believe that that time period you're seeing is the formulation of the farce. They are formulating what is plausible given that time and coming out with a new theory that isn't based on any evidence they're seeing. They didn't gather any data. They didn't look into things. It's purely speculation, and it's not based in any probability in any way. But that's not even the most important stuff. So let's keep going on. So, these big players who you see on the YouTube, which is why I'm making this video, who you see on YouTube who are talking about these kinds of things. I've seen many of them. I'm not going to drop names, specifically because, honestly, it's a waste of your time to look into them anyways. Truly, take my word for that. But there's plenty of people who do these videos and talk about these things. Some of them, with the smaller channels, don't make money off it. Good on them. The larger ones make massive amounts of money on it. They have podcasts, they frequently advertise products, they take donations in huge quantities, they run online stores promoting these things, they sell books. Some of them are so big, they're going on tour. That's right. They're literally going on tour across the country to spread this theory. If this theory was true, like most theories about the government that are actually true, these people would have been taken out or silenced. They're not being silenced. In fact, the media is promoting them. The biggest talkers about this theory has been the mainstream media. Do you honestly think that somebody with secret information about how the government was really running and dates on when this stuff was going to happen and knowing the true people in power would be free to go on a tour across the country to talk to everyone about these things? No. He'd be dead tomorrow. He would be dead yesterday. The fact is, none of these people are. None of them have been touched legally at all. Why? Because it's in the government's best interest to keep them around. The longer people sit back and don't do anything, the longer the government can continue to operate. And although some of the stuff Q talks about is 100% legit and true, the things that they talk about happening in the government, the bad things, really do happen and really did happen. But where Q falls apart is when they start to tell their supporters, don't do anything. Trust the plan. And when I first heard that starting to happen, I looked at the whole theory and said, man, this is just too convenient. Fits exactly into the government's plans. This is just too convenient. Something's wrong. And that's when I started to do the research into why it can't possibly be real. Just using logic and common sense. Americans have already died in mass numbers. And think about another thing that I actually forgot about until this point. This thing. We talk about this a lot on this channel, so you know what this is. Now, that has resulted, and I have to be really careful how I word this because this is something I will be taken down for. I have been taken down in the past for it. This is something that has caused a huge amount of casualties. An astronomical amount. So much that it currently, at this moment, is being covered up. That's something you can prove. You can watch the numbers change in real time. They go down. It's not physically possible. Those casualties have already been reported. It can't go down. They're changing the numbers. But, anyways, so many people have died from it, it is insane. And all of these Q people believe that it's bad. They all think it's bad. Why didn't Q do anything about that? The Q people believe that the mastermind strategy is part of it. It's the mark of the, it's bad. And it's definitely horrible that now almost a majority of the American population has gotten it. What has Q done to stop that? I haven't even heard Q say anything about that. Not at all. So Q's main method of communication is an online board system where Q is able to post. This board system can be accessed by anybody. It is also probably extremely easy, from my speculation and looking into the way that the posting works on this network, that the government was able to infiltrate this account. Doesn't matter who it's run by. The government was most likely able to infiltrate it. For all we know, whoever started this account is in jail now and some feds running it. But the posts, if you actually look at them, which I've researched this subject, are extremely cryptic. There's no clear, we are going to be in this location doing this at this. No, it is like, trust the plan. The storm is coming. Did you see the weather? It's about to rain. And then a bunch of numbers, 7, 4, 8, 2. Insanity. Anybody could write that. I've looked through every single one of the posts. None of them are related to real events. None of them have predicted future events. All of them is gibberish. And you can read them. Read them for me yourself. Go look into them. It's really, really easy to see that any of you could have written those. I could have said more predictive stuff than any of that stuff. Right? So what you'll see on some of these channels is they think that secret messages are being left for them and other things. For instance, when the president comes out and does a new law or something, and the law was passed on a certain date, they will then look up the post associated with that date. Because they think that the president, for some reason, needs to signal them and tell them things. Now, this may come as a shocker to some of you and some people out there. The president and Q, if it does exist, do not care about you and do not know who you are and are not sending you messages. You're not that important to them. The American government has committed genocides before, killing millions. Do you really think that you, a random civilian, matter to them? Please, understand this point. The government doesn't care about you. In fact, in many cases, they just flat out hate you. They do not need you to know anything. What can you add to them? Nothing. At all. Showing stark contrast to Jesus and how you can't add to his kingdom either, except your praise you can bring him, but even that is feeble and inadequate, and yet he still calls you into his kingdom and wants you to be. But I digress. Go follow Jesus, by the way. But they're not sending you messages. To the people who they are, or could possibly be sending messages to, do they really need to send their messages through such an overt system that can be intercepted by others, world governments, by leaders, by officials, controlled entirely by the mainstream media? Do they really need to send messages that way? Or can they pull up an encrypted radio and be like, hey, we're doing this, bye? Or a satellite phone. Can they do any? Right? The technology exists to do those things. Why do they need to send a public message to everyone? Why? Let me tell you another theory, and this was a really big turning point for me when I realized, oh man, this is crazy. And I believe, full disclosure, I believed in a lot of this stuff early on until I was able to prove it as wrong. One of the things that I was able to quickly prove was wrong, and I thought was interesting, was when the event went down, Mike Pompeo was tweeting. For some reason, Mike Pompeo was important to Q. I don't know why. I've really got no idea. But Mike Pompeo was tweeting out about a day before this went down, and there started to be some chatter online that he was going to post a certain amount of times. First, he was going to post a couple hours apart. Then it would be 60 minutes. Then he'd post 30 minutes apart. Then he'd post 15. And it would count down all the way it got till 1 minute apart. As soon as these postings were 1 minute apart, it was going to happen. The craziness was going to happen. And I looked on his Twitter, and he actually was posting. And that's when I thought, oh, wait, what if this is real? He was posting an hour apart. Checked his next post, 30 minutes apart. Checked his next one, 15, 10. And it kept going down. And I thought, this is weird. But then it got all the way down to 3 minutes, or something like that. And it jumped right back up to an hour apart. And I was like, how did that happen? Q didn't predict that. What does that mean? So I looked into the reasons behind that and why that was happening. Turns out Mike Pompeo's Twitter is on an auto tweet, which means that every certain period of time, it tweets out. It's not him being cryptic. It's not anything related to that. And guess what? Mike Pompeo's Twitter on that day meant absolutely nothing. I know because it's now 7+ months later, and nothing has happened. Nothing at all. That was pushed by all the Q people heavily. And I know they'll deny it at this point. I'm sure they will. But I was following them and I watched all that stuff. They were pushing it heavily. And guess what? It meant absolutely nothing. But while everybody was transfixed on that Twitter posting, they weren't watching what was actually happening. They were exporting their power to someone else. They're exporting the duty of the citizens to someone else who says they're going to save them, and yet has produced no evidence up to this date. Yeah, that's the state of where things are at right now. You want to tell me that our president, previous one, was a part of this Q or knew what was... I've heard that before too. I am a supporter of our previous president over the other options. But I am not a blanket fan of him. I have some... I have to be really careful what I say on this platform. Let's just say I have supported him in the past. And I do have some merchandise from him. But I'm not a blanket supporter. And what I mean by that is more gun control was put into law by our previous president than any of the others. More than Obama, more than Biden up to this point. But the main one is more than Obama. Our previous president did more gun control than him. So he's not exactly my poster boy. He did some things that I don't necessarily agree with or like and were really bad, for our freedom. And I think everyone who believes in Q would agree that gun control in that form is bad. We need more freedom, not less. But he still did it. And so you look at that and you say, how can he be this member of Q if he's working against our freedom? And then we get into bigger discussions about the true motives behind such actions, political theater, lobbying. We get into all that kind of stuff. But he's not your perfect guy in any way. In fact, he's made so many decisions that would go against the natures and beliefs of Q that I would start to suspect that he doesn't care about it at all. The reason why in some cases he would support that or come out, or repost any of their main theories is because that's a huge base that supports him. Why would he go against those people? They support him. Why would he stop them? Makes more sense for him to let them keep going along, right? So when we stack all of this evidence up together, and I'll probably remember some points after I make this video. I don't script my videos. They're all just off the top of my head. That's how you know that this stuff is really what I've researched. It's ingrained in my memory. It's what I'm not scripting these and writing long, drawn out, flowing stories. This is all real. And my screen just died again. What the heck? It's Q. They're sending me a message. My screen is flashing in Morse code. Anyways. And what you get into at the end of all this is that if all of this is true, if all of these theories are real, why have we not seen a single point of evidence yet? If there is some evidence that's provable beyond a doubt, leave me in the comments. But I found that all of the evidence that people have been able to provide is massively debatable and has other explanations. None of it is clear. None of it at all. I just don't believe in the movement. It can't be real. Looking at all the evidence, it just can't be real. Now, what is real? Not Israel. What is real? I'm going to try to restart my monitor. What is real regarding that? And if Q is a part of this government operation, which I believe it is, then there is something else you should be doing in the meantime. You should be doing what they don't want you to do. And when we get into that discussion, we start to think about what their point is. I already discussed this earlier, so I'll go over it briefly. Their point is to get you to not do anything. So, hey, it started working again. Oh, that doesn't happen. So, what should you be doing then? Now I'm rambling on now. I'm forgetting my point. What should you be doing? They want you to not do anything. You should be doing something. Now, I can't talk about what you should be doing, or even talk about what you should think about doing, or any of that, or what would be reasonable. I can't talk about any of it, because the instant I start talking about it, people with a lot of power don't like me. Currently, I have certain things I need to protect, and so I can't say that kind of stuff. So, we'll leave it at that regarding what you should be doing, but basically do the opposite of what that PSYOP movement is trying to get you to do. Influence your local areas. You have no control at all over the federal level. None of these high-level people are talking to you. None of them care about you. You should be trying to affect your local community. And affecting your local community is not done through changing the Supreme Court. While that's something we can work on, affecting your local community is done by meeting and talking to people in politics in your local area and getting them involved and getting people into office who care about you and know your name. Isn't that a novel statement? A politician who knows your name? But that was what it was always supposed to be in America. It's what it was always intended to be. You should be building your community, meeting more people in your community, meeting farmers, meeting people at church, helping out with community projects, building things together, helping out members in your community who just need help moving or something. There's so much stuff you can be doing on your local level to make your community stronger. But the problem is when you're focusing on trying to change stuff at the federal level, which you have no control over, you stop caring about your people in your area of influence. And that's what your true focus should be on. That's how these things are truly changed. Just to use a silly example, George Washington did not go out and change the world without first having his small group around him being tight. Without these friends and trusted associates, this would never have taken off. Without Paul Revere knowing people in communities and having contacts, nothing would have happened, right? When you believe in Q, you're exporting the power that you have been given and the rights you have been given to someone who, for all you know, doesn't exist. You've never seen them. The only reason you believe they exist is because someone in power says they do. That's not enough evidence for me. I need something real. That's why I believe in God, because there's a lot that, honestly, you just experience for yourself when you believe in God. It's not believing in what someone else said. You can experience it yourself. That's the difference. And I can use that pretty simply because, honestly, there are some really... A lot of the people who believe in Q, especially people who watch this channel, aren't on the craziest side, but I have seen some of the craziest of the craziest. And how I would determine that is they would equate Q to God, pretty much. Q is God in their lives. And I know you guys aren't in that boat, so I'm not referring to you guys, but there are some people who do equate Q to God on the same level. That's why I'm kind of using God as a comparison for this, because, man, we can shut down that belief really quick with some really simple points. We don't even have to open the Bible. We could, but I mean, the overflow of evidence at that point would just be crazy. So it's pretty simple to see that this Q idea is not on the level of God, and honestly isn't even on the level of relative believability. It's a wonderful thing to believe in. It's awesome to believe that somebody's coming to help you and save you. But I'm sorry, that's just not true. And it's dangerous to believe that way, because then you won't be prepared. The fact of the matter is, nobody is coming to save you. Nobody. Not a single person. Hopefully you have family members and this and that, but they've got to take care of themselves. When things go down, nobody's coming to help you. That's why I believe so strongly, and we talk so strongly on this channel about preparing for yourself, about getting yourself ready. You and your household need to be ready first. Then help these other people. Help your family. But if you're not prepared to be in a position of strength, you're just going to drag down all the rest. Honestly, there's even more I can talk about regarding this subject and Q and all of that. I could go on for a lot longer, and maybe I will. Maybe at some point I'll do like a live stream or something, and if you guys have questions regarding that, you can ask questions. Or if you have points you want to bring up, hey, I could have missed something. You have points you want to bring up, let me know. Hey, maybe we'll do a live stream and we'll talk about this stuff. But for the moment, that's a good amount of the evidence I want to talk about. I do believe that this Q stuff is absolutely wrong when it gets to some extent. The original bases of this theory are right. There is this crazy stuff that goes down in government, and we need to do something about it. The problem is who we're talking about doing something about. And a lot of the I've already discussed that. You guys know my point. Thank you for watching. That's my video regarding how Q is lying to you and why you should be focusing your efforts on the local level instead. If you did make it through all 27 minutes of this, thank you for supporting this channel. Truly, thank you. I am honored to have people, even one person, who will listen to me at all. Absolutely honored. So, thank you for being here. I'll see you guys later. Remember, if there's anything you want to add to this discussion or anything you want to let me know that I may have missed, leave it in the comments. If you want me to do something like a live stream and discuss this further, let me know in the comments. Hey, let me know. I'm doing this channel to better educate you guys, and if there's any way I can improve in doing that, I will always take your suggestions. Thank you guys for watching.